Okay, good morning. I'm running just a few minutes behind this morning, but my child is sick and we're at home, and so I'm hoping that she will be occupied long enough for us to do this. So she's really wanting to go outside, but it's starting to rain. So anyway, hopefully she'll be occupied long enough for us to kind of get through this. So we are in week 4, and from what I understand, everyone is doing really well and feeling better and looking better and just all kinds of results, which is great. And I'm so proud of you for sticking with it this long. And, you know, we're at the midway point. You should be taking images of yourself now. And if you haven't done those, go ahead and do them and send them to me. If what was I going to say? Oh, and you need to measure. Do the halfway measures. So I forget what all measures are on there, but it's your whole body. And so for sure do a waist and a hip, and then take your photos, your pictures, and send those over to me so we can kind of compare and contrast and look at them. And so at this point, we're 3 weeks into week 4, and a lot of times it's the point to where people will start to give up or not be as stringent with their program or miss workouts or cheat a little bit more or whatever. But you've been in it this long, and so now is not the time to stop. Like, it's the time just to forge it forward, push forward, keep doing exactly what you're doing. Start working on tracking your food if you're not already. For sure do that. Today I'm going to get into a little bit about, I'm going to go through the calculations, and then if we have time, I'm going to do the tracking on MyFitnessPal. If I don't have time to do it, I will for sure do a separate video and send that out to you. Most of the people that I've worked with before are pretty like they know pretty much about tracking and keeping up with their food and stuff. And so especially if you're using MyFitnessPal, it's pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory, and you can kind of figure it out. You may see me step away a little bit because I've got the back door open and I just want to make sure she's not going outside. But I'll keep talking as I do. So if you see me just step away and go out of the camera view, just know that that's what I'm doing. So for those of you people that are moms, I know you understand. So okay, she's inside playing with her dolls. Good. All right. So okay, let's see what I'm going to start with today. Okay, so so there are 2 ways that you can work your calculations. I'm going to try to support this thing for the camera so it doesn't rock when I touch on it, because I'm going to have to go back and forth on some screens. It's not going to do very well. So there are two things that you can use macros for. 2 things, actually, with all diets and fitness, you're really after 2 things. One of which is to lose body fat, which for all of the people in this program, your goal is to lose weight or body fat. So that's what I'm going to focus on today. If you're going through this program at another time where we have people who are trying to do muscle gains, I will include a video on the platform for that about how to calculate for muscle gain. For right now, just because everyone's goal is the same, and for the sake of time, I'm only going to do calculations for weight loss or fat loss. And so, but just know that with all diet programs, those are the 2 things that you're really after, is either weight loss, essentially fat loss, okay, or muscle gains. And there's 2 different ways that you would calculate your macros for each of those. One, if you're trying to put on muscle mass and grow your muscle, then you need to be in a calorie surplus to do that. If you're trying to lose weight, body fat, then you have to be in a deficient. And so today we're going to focus on the deficient. Okay. So that just means you need to be under your maintenance number of calories. And this is some math. There are some kind of shortcuts that you can do. And so I'll try to share those with you. Don't be overwhelmed by the math. If you have a calculator, you can do it. It's literally addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and that's it. And so I'm going to walk through how to do it too. I'm actually going to do mine. And so you can work yours as I work mine. So just get a pen and paper real quick, and your phone with your or a calculator, something that you do calculations on, and have that with you right now. And that way, when I go through mine, you can do yours with me, and then you'll just have it, and you don't have to worry about going back later or being overwhelmed about it or anything like that. So, okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about body fat. You all should know your weight. Okay. And I'm going to share screen with you. Let me do, I have a few images that I'm going to need. And so let me pull those up real quick, and then I'll share screen that way. It'll be faster. And so you should know your weight. A couple of different ways that if you come work with me at the facility, I have a calculator that I developed on a spreadsheet that I will use for calculating body fat. It factors in everything. And I actually don't like for people to track their activity because it messes with their calorie and macro numbers. And I actually factor all of that in. And we're going to do it today too. It's just going to be in a different way. Okay, so let me share here. Okay, and so this is not what I need. One second. Okay, I've got my selfie light, I think is what you call it, up, and so this was what I need, I think. Let me see. Nope. One second. Okay, now let's try. I've got my selfie light up there, and so that's what I'm moving around. Oh, desktop. There we go. I was just missing it. Okay, so all right. So a couple of different ways that I calculate body fat. I have a calculator that I use in the gym. Okay, so I developed it. It's all when you're doing this stuff, it's formulas. So it's all the formulas, and I just input the numbers and it spits it out for me. It's actually really neat. But you can, and we're actually going to look at images today to do an estimation. It's going to be a kind of a rough estimation, but it's going to work. It's just a way to do it. You can also look at, you can Google body fat percent calculator. You can Google body fat percent calculator, and okay, so this is the one this is calculator.net right here. This is the one I use especially for people that are like I do a pinch calculation. They're called skin calipers. We do that because it's plus or minus 3%. So the margin of error is pretty slow, especially if you're an efficient measurer or pincher. That's what I call it. Call it pinch and fat because that's what it is. But some people they're too big to pinch. Like it's not an accurate measure, and I hate to say it that way, but that's just the way it is. And so sometimes people have so much body fat that the caliper pinch is not the most valid way to measure them. And so then I go to a circumference measure, and then I'll just pull up this calculator and use it. So you can do this if you want to be a little bit more accurate with your body fat percent. All you have to do is in this little section right here, and we'll do US units. And so you put in your age, your gender. I'm female. My weight right now is 185. My height is 5'10". My neck circumference, I don't really know what it is, but we'll just assume that it's 12 centimeters. I think that's probably average. 12 inches. So when you do this is feet on this side, you need that for height, and then this is inches on this side. So just make sure that you input your information on the inches side because we measure in inches. You can change the units if you need to up here. The last time I measured my waist, it was 35.5, and I'm being completely transparent here. And my hips were 48 or 49 inches. So if you're off an inch or so, either way, like over or under, it's not going to kill you. Okay. So it's still going to be about the same. So don't lose your mind about being exact and precise. It's going to be okay as long as it's close. You don't want to be 5 inches off, but an inch, half an inch, quarter of an inch, something like that's not going to make a difference. And you can go in here and change that out to 49 inches and, it will be the same kind of thing. Okay. And so then you just hit calculate, and it's bringing me up at like 44%. Okay. So this measure is not as good as, it's not as good as caliper pinching, but you have to have a professional to do that for you. And so this, I find that when I compare, this is off a few percent. Usually it's a few percent higher. However, it is a measure, and that's what you're after. You need a measure. You need a number to work with, and that's what we're after. And if you're losing weight and your body fat percent is coming down, and you need a measure and a number to work with to know that. And so that's what we're after. And so I have recently had a baby. I would expect my body fat to be at least 35% right now. So seeing this, knowing that it's usually a few percent higher than a pinch, then I'm going to say that this is actually pretty accurate. And I'm not weird about that because 2 reasons for sure. I really haven't been training. Like, I think I stopped working out consistently in my 3rd trimester. And then, my daughter's 22 months. She'll be 23 months week after next, I think. And so, that's 2.5 years about that I haven't really been consistent on a workout program. So it just goes to show you that if you're not consistent in your workout program, like, your body composition will change, and usually you become fattier and you have less muscle mass. And so, given my height and my weight, and that I had a baby, which when you have a baby for women, you put on body fat during that process because you need it to protect the baby. Like, that's the function of putting on body fat when you're pregnant. Gaining the weight, yes, like, you have all this stuff that's growing, but you also put on extra body fat, and it's to keep the baby safe. It's to protect the baby if something happens and your stomach gets hit. So I would say that this is pretty accurate. Given that I've had a baby and I haven't really been training consistently like normal, I'm going to say this is pretty accurate. I fully expect within the next year that I'm going to be right back on track and my body composition is going to change up some. So I'm not weird about it. You don't be weird about your number either, because remember that you are taking action right now and you are doing the things that you need to do to change the composition and how your body works. So I just want to make sure I'm recording. Okay. Because that would be terrible to go through all that and not have been recording. So, okay. Where did my thing go? Oh, here. 1 second. Sorry. I'm going to reshare just because I want to make sure that you're able to see this. I would hate to do it and you not be able to see it. Then I'd have to go back and do it again. Okay. So, all right. So this is the way, just for quick measure sake, this is the way that we're going to calculate your body fat today. Okay. So I can send this out. I can link this out if you want me to, and actually I'll just do it anyway, because this is something that you can always use forever without having to do measures, especially if you're weird about measures or it makes you feel some kind of way about what's going on. And so the way that you use this, this guy on Seek Fit Life, I'm not sure his name, but he actually used this process and I really actually like it. This one's for men. This one's for women. I'm going to focus on women because I'm a woman and we're doing my numbers. Hey, baby. Do you want to sit up here? Okay. Come over on this side. Sorry. Okay. Sit right here. Oh, I've got to get through my talk right here. Okay. So be a good girl. Is that what you tell them? Be a good girl. Anyway. Okay. So what we're going to do is there is a percentage of body fat below each picture. And so what you do is you look at it and you kind of measure up like where you are. Okay. I would say for me, I'm a little bit more in this 40% area, and that's pretty accurate given my calculation. Okay. The people up here, like this person right here in the 10 to 12% is going to be a competitor, a physique competitor. And then this person right here, she may be like a bikini competitor. This person right here is probably a fitness person or highly active. These girls right here are pretty lean. They just have a little bit more body fat. And then these girls down here are going to just be a little bit higher. So it just goes up and up and up. So I'm actually about right here. This right here, I would like to look like this right now because you can tell she's got the little muscle definition. Even though there is some fat on her body, she still has the muscle definition. Given that I just had a baby, this is kind of where I am, and that's just being completely transparent. So I would essentially use the 40% from here, which is pretty close. Okay, so given my calculation here, my phone's ringing, it may come through. Given my calculation here, it's about 4% off, but that's still pretty close, and it's still a pretty good number to work with, okay? So don't be weird about the correctness of your number. Just use a number because we need a number, okay? So, all right, so that's how we're gonna look at body fat. So just for the sake of using the images, I'm gonna go with 40% body fat, okay? So I've made some notes over here. Actually, okay, I've got a lot of stuff going on. So, all right. So we're going to say my weight's 185. Okay. My body fat, we're going to go with 40%. Much higher than what I would like it. Okay. And so then the next thing we're going to do is calculate our calories. Okay. So let me do this and here. Is that right? Let me just make sure. I've got my notes over here. I just don't want to miss a step. Help. Okay, baby. So sorry. It's getting humid outside. Let me go over here and shut this door. Stay right there. Okay. What are you wanting, baby? Okay. You want this right here? Okay. Right. Okay. So, basic. It's not what I want to do. No. Okay, this is our BMR. And so that's what we're going to calculate next. I will also add this link. I'm going to make a note about the things I need to send to you. So the body fat images and the catch formula. Okay, so what we're going to do is calculate our BMR. All right, so this is where we start to get into what your actual calories should be. And so your BMR that's your calories to survive. So like when your organs are working, your breath, your heart rate, your brain function, all of that requires calories, and that's your like survival calories. So if you were doing zero activity, this is the number of calories you would need to survive. And so that's what we're after. So this calculator, it's a BMR calculator, you can, this is the Catch McArdle formula. And so that's the one that we use. There are other BMR calculators that you can just Google if you forget. And then my body fat is 40%, and then we're just going to calculate. Okay. And so for me, it's 53 and a half calories. Yes, baby. And so that's the number that we need. So we are going to store that in our BMR. Let me put all this over here. I like for it to be in a column. I'm visual, so I like to be able to see things. Okay, so we've got, what did we have? 1457.5. This is actually really good because I need to be doing this because I'm going to start tracking my calories pretty soon. I don't want to go through the end of the year and not be doing it. Okay, so that's my BMR, and I have it noted right here, calories to survive. Okay, and so the next thing that we need is our is total daily energy expenditure, is what TDEE stands for, which is your BMR. This number plus your activity level, plus your food burn. So for some foods, it does take calories to break those down. And so that's what the food burn means. Okay, so I think I'm done with this for right now. Let me also close this. Excuse the mess on my laptop. And okay. And so you want down? All right. If you hear my daughter, you ask her a question and she says, okay. All right. So let me bring this over just a little bit more, just so that it's not so crazy for your eyes. Okay. So this is where we're calculating your total daily energy expenditure. And what we need for that is a training factor. Okay. I have one more. I may not have sent it, or I may not have gotten it. Okay, so we need a training factor, okay, because when we're looking for our TDE, we have TDEE, we have our BMR plus our activity level, and that's where this number comes in. And so what this means over here, I also need to include this for you just so that you have it for the calculations. Factor. Okay. This email that comes out tomorrow is going to be pretty important because it's going to have all your stuff in it for this, but that's good. It'll all be together. So, okay. So this is the number of days that you're training. Okay. So if it's 1 to 3, which, if you all are doing the 3 days a week, then, you would be at this level right here. Okay. If you are 4 to 6 days a week, so if you're 4 or 5 or 6 days, then you would go here. If you're 6 or more, which usually are elite athletes or athletes of some type, although there are some general public that work out 6 days or more, then you would be that bottom number. And for me, I try to do 4 days a week. But the reality is, and be honest with yourself too, like just because it's what you're trying to do doesn't mean it's the factor that you should actually use, because that's going to make your numbers off. So be realistic and be honest with yourself about what you're actually able to follow through with, not what you're trying to be committed to. Okay. So my commitment is 4 days. And you can tell there's a difference. So if I work on my commitment, then it's going to give me more calories. But if I really live in 1 to 3 days a week, so I'm going to be in a surplus, and that's not what you want. So it's important to be honest with yourself about how much you're actually training and completing. I'm usually 1 to 3. I think last week I did like 1. And so this week my daughter's been sick. So excuse my text coming in. And so like this week my daughter's been sick. And so we're traveling. She has an appointment out of town tomorrow. And so we're traveling. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get it on Friday and Saturday. So that'll be 2 days. So my reality is that I'm like 1 to 3 days, even though I want it to be 4. And that's what I'm shooting for. So the factor I'm going to use is this. Oh, awesome. Is this 1.2. Okay. And so how we do this, I'm actually going to do it in here because that way you can see. And so I'll take, it's just this right here. Okay. Actually, that's not the equation. The equation is actually BMR times your training factor. Okay, so that's actually the equation, and I'll do it right down here just so we don't mess it up. Okay, so we got to put our BMR in. Okay, and then we want to multiply by my training factor, which is 1.2. Okay, so that puts me at 1749. All right, now, just for example's sake, let's say that I've calculated on my goal, which is 4 days a week, then 1.35. So that's a difference of about 200 calories, which is a lot. So, and that's per day. So 200 calories times 7, that's 1,400 calories extra per week. In 2 weeks, I'm going to put on 1 pound of body fat because it's 3,500 calories per pound of body weight, of body fat. Sorry, excuse me. And so that if you're in a surplus, once you get to 3,500 calories, like you're essentially gaining 1 pound of body fat. And so that's how important it is for you to be accurate and honest with yourself about how much you're actually training and doing. Okay, so if you sometimes do 4, but mostly are in 1 to 3, factor for 1 and 3. Okay, if you sometimes do 6, but you're mostly in 4, then it's fine for you to do this. As long as you don't go over, it's fine for you to do this in the middle. Didn't finish that. As long as you're not going over, like let's say sometimes you do 7, but mostly you're living in 4 to 6, factor on the 4 to 6. Okay, so be honest about yourself. I can't stress that enough, because this right here, if I were to use this number right here, then in 2 weeks I'd put on 1 pound of body fat. It doesn't matter what my training is, how my exercise is structured or what it is, I'm going to put on a pound. And that's not what I really want. I'm in a place where I want to recomp, where I want to lose body fat. So sticking around this like 1750 is going to be what I need to do. The other thing, and I'm going to say this just because I'm still nursing my daughter. If you're nursing, you're going to require more calories than that. So you have to be aware of things like that. What do you want, baby? You want the chalk? Okay. Come right over here. It's right here. Right here. Okay. Are you going to go outside and do it? All right. Just a second. Okay. So make sure that you are actually calculating what you really need to be doing, right? And so for me, this is the number that I'm going to work with. And so take the time to go through that and figure out what your numbers actually are for yourself. It's really, really important. Okay. So, and I'm going to put this in the email for you so that you have that for future reference, because you may or may not need to recalculate if for some reason you get stalled out and need to start over. You always want to recalculate whenever you're starting over, just because things could change. For example, before I got pregnant, my baseline calories just to maintain my weight were 2,400. So I was pretty active. I had a significant amount more of muscle mass and less body fat. And so that's what, you want to go outside? Okay. You got to stay on the thing out there. And so that's why it's important just to kind of, start over, especially if it's been a long time that you haven't, stay right there. Especially if it's been a long time that you haven't been tracking your food, just go ahead and take the time to recalculate for yourself. So, all right, where are we? Okay, so I know this is a lot. Try not to be overwhelmed. Just work through it. Use the calculators. The calculators are really, really helpful. It just, it takes some of the stress out of it. And so we want to make this as simple as possible. Okay. Okay, so this is what we're going to do next. I love Excel. I don't know if you guys like it, or some people have trouble with it, but I actually really love Excel. Just because I'm kind of a nerd, but it's great because it auto calculates everything for you. Okay, so total calories, okay, 1750-ish, right? And when you're tracking and logging your food, get close. I tell people, especially when they're first starting, try to get within 100 calories either way, okay? So some days you're going to be under, some days you might be over. The closer you get, the better it is. It's really hard to zero out. If you're within 50 calories, that's better than 100. If you're within 25 calories, that's better than 100. The goal is to get as close as possible without going over. If you're like 30 calories to your goal, don't weird yourself out about trying to find something to eat that's 30 calories. It's fine, right? You're really, really close. And that's, I tell people if they're within like 25 calories, then that's on target, even within 100 when we're first starting. And I tend to start people a little bit farther away, like at 100 calories, get within 100 calories, and then I push them to closer and closer once they get adapted to it. I just find that's easier and more manageable for people. So, okay. Okay, so if we're focusing on fat loss, so that's what I'm going to talk to you about. Let's see what this other image is over here. Okay, that's about your BMR. We don't need that. All right, so if you are doing fat loss, we're going to take your, excuse me, total calories and we're going to subtract 30%. Gosh, I'm not going to have any food, which is terrible because I like to eat, clearly. Okay, so total calories, right? Target calories, however you want to say it, minus the 30%. If you're trying to gain muscle, then you're going to do your total calories times 110% because, again, you want to be in a surplus. For us, because we're doing mostly fat loss or weight loss, we're going to go with this top calculation only. And so my total calories, this is my maintenance. Remember, that's maintenance. Maintain. Okay. Very important. Maintain. Don't lose weight. And honestly, for me, because I'm nursing, I could probably eat 1750 and lose weight just because I would need to factor in about another 200 calories. So, okay, so that's what we got. So then I want to subtract the 30%. Okay, so this is a little bit of math. So I'm going to take this number right here. Okay, and I need to find out what 30% is. Now, 30% is pretty significant. You have to subtract 20% so that your body knows that it's dieting. Okay. You can't just subtract like 10 calories and think you're going to lose weight. You have to do at least 20%. Okay. This equation here calls for 30%. And so that's a little bit more significant. Aggressive is the word that I'm looking for, but you're going to get a result. So just for the sake of not confusing you, we're going to go with a 30% because that's what's on my image. You have to at least do 20%, at least, because that's how your body knows that it's dieting. Okay, so we're going to do times 30%. And so don't need to write this out. So you have it. Let me write this out so you have it on here. Okay. Okay, so that right there, and so you want to times let me do it like this, times 0.30, okay, which is 30%. I'm gonna make this super simple, 0.30 when you put it in your calculator, okay? And so what that's gonna give us, this is why I like Excel, because you just put the equation in there and it calculates it for you. Okay, so this is the 30%, okay? So that's 30%. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my total daily, my maintenance calories, okay? And just do it right over here. And then we're going to subtract, let me do it this way. Yeah, I want to do it so that you can see what the equations are. And then we're going to subtract the 30%. Okay. There. I should actually send you this sheet too. Maybe if you want this sheet, I'll send it to you. And that may or may not help you a little bit. It may make you confused, but it may actually help you too. Okay. So then I want you to be able to see it. So, all right. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to do this one minus this one. Okay. And so 1225 is what I'm getting. Okay. So this is no longer what we need, but I will bold that. Okay. So this is actually my calories. That is terrible. I don't know that I could live on 1,200 calories. That's really low for me. I'm tall. I'm a big girl. That's really low for me to be doing that. I actually may prefer to be on 20% less. Okay, and then, okay, so that's 1,400. I would do better on that just because, number one, I'm nursing still. Number two, I just need more food than that. That's just really low. But again, I am doing it for weight loss, right? And so you have to be in a deficient and you have to do at least 20%. So 20 to 30%, if you calculate this and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can live on that, you can try and see, or you can factor out for 20% or 25% and then use that number because it's going to give you a little bit more. If you're playing with your numbers, do it, run it for like 2 weeks. Okay, so use those numbers for at least 2 weeks and see what your body's doing. If your weight's coming down, you're doing fine. If it's not, then just pull back a little bit, like 50 calories at a time until you find where your body's starting to drop weight. And so that matters for if you've been dieting before, and depending on like what's going on with your metabolism, that's kind of the way that you kind of get there. You just do it and monitor your weight. And again, the best way to do that is to take it daily in the morning after the bathroom, no clothes on or minimal clothing, and then factor the average over 7 days and see what's happening with the trend. Is the trend downward? Even if daily your weight goes up and down, if weekly, your weekly average, the trend is downward, then you're getting the result that you want. Okay. So I hope you're not overwhelmed. If you're starting to do this and you get confused or kind of locked up and you don't really know what to do next, just reach out to me and let me know. And I don't mind to get to walk you through it, even if we need to jump on a quick call to do that. So, all right. So those are calories. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is figure out the macros. Okay. And I'm going to insert some extra rows right here because I'm going to try to do this in here so you actually can see like what it looks like. Okay, so for the sake of me, because I'm probably going to work at this 20%, then I'm going to highlight that. And that's the one that we're going to use for me, okay? Because since I'm taking the time to do this, I might as well do it for what I'm going to use rather than anything else, okay? So that way I don't have to do it again. Oh, you broke it? It's okay, baby. We've got some more. All right, so my total calories, we're going to go with 1,400, okay? So how you do this, I like to highlight things. I'm a visual person, and so that helps me know what's going on and keep up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to factor out protein, okay? Why do we want to go with protein first? Because it's a certain number related to your body weight, okay? And so we want to figure out, actually, this is not correct. I'm sorry. We don't want to do that. We want to go with carbohydrates first, okay? Okay. All right. So the reason we go with carbohydrates first is because we want you to get a certain percentage of your calories from carbs, 50%. Okay. And so this is going to be 50% of total calories. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, that actually is a really easy calculation because it would be 700. All right. Okay. This right here divided by half. Okay. And so that's going to be 700, right? If you can take your total calories and just divide by 2, or you can actually do like 0.50 times the 1,400 or whatever your total calorie number is. Okay. So this is calories. Okay. So that's how many calories I'm going to get from carbs. Now, to get your macros, what you have to do is break that down into grams so you know how many macrograms you're getting. And so remember how I showed you that, I think it was maybe it was last week. It was whatever week we went over how to read a food label. It gives you that 449, for the carb, protein, and fat numbers, right? Those are the numbers that we're going to use. And so I have a amber filter on my computer. And so those are the numbers that we're going to use. Okay. So what we do to get calories to grams, and I'm just going to go this way. We do 700 calories. Okay. Divided by, okay, because, okay, so if you're trying to get from calories to grams, you have to divide. If you're trying to get from grams to calories, you have to multiply. Okay, so that's how you do it. So we're going to divide this by, what did I say, 4. Okay, so it's 4 grams of carb and I do CHO for carb, equals 1 calorie. Is that right? One gram equals 4 calories. I didn't think that was right. Okay. 1 gram of carbs equals 4 calories. Okay. And so that's the conversion factor. So we're going to go 700 divided by 4. All right. So that gives me 175 grams of carbs. All right. So that's my gram number. Okay. Now for our protein, we're going to go 0.8, and you can go up to 1 gram. Most of the research says that like 0.9 is kind of the top out, but a lot of people say 1 gram per pound of body weight. Women tend to do better at 0.8, and so that's the factor that I'm going to use. If you're a man, use 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you're female, let's go with 0.8, and you can always adjust that later if you feel like you need more or less. 0.8 grams per pound body weight. What's going on, baby? I'm almost done, okay? Almost done. Yeah. I should have made you some bubbles, huh? Okay. So what we're going to do, my weight is 185, right? So 0.8 times 185. Okay. And so this gives me grams, right? Because we're right here, 0.8 grams. So that gives me grams. Okay. And that's daily grams. And I'm going to put probe just so that we keep in mind what's going on here. Okay. Now I need to convert that to calories. Okay. And the reason being that we're going to take the calories from our carbs and the calories from our protein and add those together. And that's how we're going to figure out our fat. Okay. So we've got grams, right? So remember, it is 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories, okay? So I'm going to go, this right here, okay, just to keep us in line, okay? So we're going to go, actually, let me do this. 148, okay, grams times, right? Because we have grams, we're trying to get to calories. 4 gives us, just a second, baby. I promise I'm almost done. Okay, so that gives us this many calories, okay, from protein. Come here, sit right up here. I'm almost done, literally like 5 minutes. You want to write? Here you go. All right, right there. Okay. Sorry, I really appreciate your patience. Okay, so, all right, so this is our calories, okay? These are our grams, which is what we're after, okay? So now I'm going to take the calorie numbers. Can we see this in blue? Okay, we're going to take those calorie numbers, all right? And so now we're going to get to fat, okay? And so fat, we're just going to say leftover. Okay, if you are trying to get super, super lean, like for a show, it matters if you like prefer more fat or more carbs. If you prefer more fat in your diet, you actually can take like 45% of your calories from carbohydrate, and that will give you more fat. So I would work it like 5% at a time. Don't throw yourself over the fence, or this terrible analogy or saying, metaphor. Don't skew it so much. Like a little bit does a lot. So if you prefer more fat in your diet, I would suggest that you just do 45% right here and you try that. And then that's going to give you more fat grams because your protein is going to be static. It's not very dynamic. And so even when you're trying to get super, super lean, you don't really mess with protein that much until you absolutely have to. So if you like more fat, just do 45% here. Try that for a couple of weeks. If it's still not working for you, maybe come back, recalculate, and do 40%, see how that works for you. And so that's how I would do it. It does matter, because if I'm asking you to eat more carbs than what you actually like in your diet, like it's going to be hard for you to adhere to that and to be consistent with it. And you're going to feel like you're force feeding yourself all the time. And the whole premise of this is to not feel like you're on a diet. Okay. So your fat's going to be what's left over. So what we have to do, hold on, baby, I'm almost done, I promise. We have to take total calories. Okay. And we have to subtract our carb calories and our protein calories first. Okay. And I'm going to do it right under here so that makes sense. Okay. So we go 1,400. Uh-oh. Totally messed that up. 1,400. Okay. And then minus our, let's see if I can do this. Minus our, these are our carb calories, minus our protein calories. Okay. And that's what's going to give us our fat calories. Okay. So let me put this up here, equals fat calories. Uh-oh. That's not what I needed to do. There we go. Okay. Equals fat calories. That's what we're after. So this is the equation here. And then if I go equals this number minus this number minus this number, then that gives me 108 calories from fat. Okay. So those are my fat calories, right? Now I need to get it into grams because I'm after macros, right? So let's do this one blue. Okay. And then, so what I have to do is I have to divide by 9. Okay. So this is 1 gram equals 9 calories. Okay. And then, so we have to get, actually, I need to make this in a spreadsheet so I can just send it out and then you just do the calculations, or it would calculate for you. That would actually be really nice, wouldn't it? Okay, sidebar. All right, so we have to get this into grams. So what we're going to do is we're going to do fat calories divided by this number right here, 9. Okay, so let me just do that. So we're going to equal the 108, and then we're going to divide by 9. And that's going to give us 12 grams of fat. That's not a lot of fat. I tend to have more fat in my diet. I like more fat. And so, is that right? Yeah, that's right. So, okay, this is how you manipulate it. So a lot of my reactions are, oh, that's not a lot. I literally can have 12 grams of fat in one meal. So because I am, I tend to have like more fat in my diet, and I don't have very many calories. Like this is not a lot of calories. So what I actually would do for myself, okay, and you can do this at your discretion, is I would go back and use a 40 to 50% of my total calories from carbohydrate. And then I would leave this the same. If I absolutely had to, I would take it down to like 0.7. And then that's going to give me some more fat grams. But just for the sake of what we're doing right here, I don't want to confuse you. I just want to do the calculations and, you know, let you see like what it actually looks like for you. Okay. So we're looking at carbs, protein, hold on, baby, and then fat. Okay. And so this is what it actually would look like. Okay. And I actually could pull my protein down a little bit. I mean, that's not, I can eat 200 calories of carbohydrate in a meal. But again, I'm 40% body fat. I'm looking to lose body fat, lose weight. And this is just what it's going to take to get there. Okay. And so I would like for this number to be a little bit higher. And so what I'm actually going to do is go in and go to 40%. I know I said to do it by 5%, but if I do it at 45%, that's not really going to give me that much more fat. And I tend to eat more fat than not. So just go back and, you know, recalculate and make it work for you. This is not something I can adhere to because the 12 grams of fat is not really going to work for me. I mean, that's not a lot at all. And so, but this is how you calculate it and do it. And so I want you to work your numbers for yourself. And then all you do is you go into your MyFitnessPal, into the settings. Let me see if I can do that for you real quick. I know last time it was it was down. And you just input these numbers, and then it's there for you to track. I'm also going to put this in my personal calculator and see what I get there, and see how accurate this is. So I trust my calculator more than anything just because of how I set it up. Okay, so, and you can see this is set up at my old number, where it was the 2,500 calories. We're almost done, baby. Okay, I promise. And so you go to settings right here. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, there we go. You go to settings right here. Okay. You can do this from the app too, but I'm just going to show you on the computer because that's where I am. Okay, and then you go to, is this it? Diary settings. Okay, and okay, that's not it. Goals. Goals is where we need to go to. Sorry. It takes me a minute sometimes. It's hot in here. It's getting humid because of the rain outside, huh? All right, so goals. So here we go, right? So let's just change mine since we did them. Okay, so I'm going to go to 1,400. Okay, and I'm going to let it do the calculations for me. So 40, 30, 30 is the general one that I actually use. And the percentage split on macronutrients, when I just put it in here and I'm not doing other calculations, if you figure out your total calories that you need to lose weight and you want to go this route, do that. If that's simpler for you and all this math just is way too much effort for you, just do this. This is the 40, 30, 30 split is what the Zone uses. It's a little bit less carbohydrate, a little bit more fat, but it's optimal for fat burning. And so do that, and that will make it super simple for you. And you can actually see, like, these are my numbers here. Computer's running slow. I swear I need to get it worked on. Okay, so these are my numbers here. And so in protein, that brings me down 30 grams, okay, because here it is right here, 140. And then that brings my fat up from like 12% to 47 grams, which is a little bit more sustainable for me. And then it actually drops my protein down about 40 grams, which is okay. And so this right here, I actually could adhere to a little bit more than this over here. So if the numbers is a thing that you like to do and you want to know how to do it, go through the calculations, okay? And I would fully expect that if I go back over here and do this, my carbs as at 40% of my total calories, that these are the numbers that I would get closer to, which is a little bit more sustainable. And so if it's easier for you, then go through this part up here and calculate what your maintenance calories are, okay? And then you want to go down here and do the minus the 30%. Okay, so multiply it by the 30% and then subtract it from your maintenance calories, these, okay? And that's what's going to give you your number, right? And so take that number, of course, we did minus 20%, okay? But take that number and put it into the MyFitnessPal under goals, and then set your carbs to 40%, your fat to 30%, and your protein to 30%, and then let that do the calculation for you. Okay, so 2 different ways to do it. One's super simple. I'm finding that keeping things super simple is what to do. So do that, and then let me know, if you have questions and stuff. If you're having problems with your calculations and you can't really figure them out, reach out to me and let me know, and then we'll try to get you taken care of. So I'm going to jump off. We've been on, we might have been on an hour. I know that was a lot. Reach out if you need me, and do the calculations and track your food and send me your measures and your pictures, and keep up the good work. Talk soon.